And we are back, folks, for another review of The Walking Dead. Yeah, I know it's been a while, but we are back here, and today we're going to be reviewing episode 11 from season 11, Rogue Element. Now, folks, if you've never checked out my reviews, please note that they are spoiler-free, because recaps have spoilers, reviews are non-spoilers. So I am here to get you hyped and prepared for things you can expect from this week's episode. So hopefully you are subscribed and you will be checking me out for all Walking Dead content to come. But let's talk about tonight's episode, folks. And tonight, this was a very interesting episode. Now, the one thing I've truly loved about season 11 thus far is that every episode seemed to have a different tone. You know, we had that one episode where it kind of felt like a horror film. And to be honest, I started to think about like, well, you know, we're used to them being on the run for survival and trying to make do, setting up communities, you know, the same old thing, kind of repetitive over and over and over because of the zombie apocalypse. But now that they actually have really substantial quality of life with the Commonwealth and even in the other series with the Civil Republic, things are a little bit different, which means that you actually can normalize some stories here. So like in this episode, it felt like a 60s crime drama, which I was like, this is pretty odd. You know, this is different. This doesn't feel like The Walking Dead. And not even to mention the beginning of this episode truly felt like a soap opera, but that was short-lived, but we'll talk about it. But yeah, I love the fact that each episode you make it a different tone, a different feel, and I think that's what's really keeping folks interested going forward. But with that being said, in this episode, we got a lot to talk about here. First off, Eugene is in love with his romance, his love interest of Stephanie. They're having all type of romantic feels for each other, you know, his radio love, should I say. And everything is all good. And this is where I said, like, it felt like a soap opera. They're having these moments, the way how it's shot, all these feel good lovey-dovey stuff. And it's The Walking Dead, so we know this was short-lived. And then she disappears. And this becomes a very, like, hard moment for Eugene. Because Eugene at this point now becomes unhinged. And he's just completely blindsided. Because this is almost like being ghosted. But, like, to the worst extent, you know. Because, like, everything was good 1 second ago. Really good. And then she's gone. And thus, you know, he does his due diligence and calling, you know, the police, and they investigate and whatnot, and everything seems to be, she's just gone. She's not here. But that's not good enough for him. So now he takes matters into his own hands, where he wants to investigate. And Princess comes along for the ride, because we know Princess. She's loving, she's caring, she's a good friend. She's always going to be there for her friends. But, especially Eugene. She has a soft spot for Eugene. But, I don't think she has no clue how deep of a rabbit hole Eugene is digging and how far she's going to fall into it, because it is a big rabbit hole of mystery. And then it sort of leads to conspiracy, because we know Eugene, and Eugene's very passionate. He's very dedicated. And when it comes to love, we see a new side of him. This is why we see him unhinged in a way that we have not seen before. But beyond this, the two of them, in trying to uncover the truths here, you know, Princess also delivers some hard truths from her own past that really applies to everything Eugene is going through. And I also think that the viewers also can take a lot of what Princess is saying. But she's like the moral compass to him, because he's really going down for a journey here. And with all these things that are happening here, let's not forget that Eugene truly does have like a get out of jail for free card. Like, Hornsby is always there for him whenever he needs something. So, like, you know, whenever he gets in trouble, Hornsby there to get him out, you know? So there's that. But we also got to understand that, you know, there's always consequences to our action. And that's just not for Eugene, but that is for everybody in this episode here. But yeah, you know, the fact that, you know, Eugene is doing this whole investigative thing, which I really can't take serious, but it definitely comes off like an old school mystery show. So there's that. And then you have Connie and Kelly, who are working press for the Commonwealth, because Connie's going back to her roots, you know, her employment before she was before the zombie apocalypse here. So she's very natural at this. And for her, the big story is what's up with Trooper Tyler Davis after he got arrested, which was a huge thing. Everyone knew about it, but nothing has to come of it. What has he been charged with? Where is he being held? Where is he? You know, does he have a lawyer? She's trying to figure out all of this because this seems to not be the Commonwealth way. And things are very, very mysterious to her. So she's trying to figure it out. And Kelly is obviously for the ride for her sister. But as I said, you know, everybody's actions and consequence. Everyone has consequences for their actions. And this is another case. But also, the both of them, even in these two different stories that are happening, everyone's trying to find the truth. So beyond that too, Carol is outside the walls, you know, where she's most comfortable. But she's outside the walls with Hornsby, who also thinks he's very much more comfortable, more alive outside the walls. But for Carol, this is pretty much a very not a lot of meat on this part of the episode. But you know, she learns how the Commonwealth moves outside the wall because Carol is helping Hornsby with a labor dispute. So he's going out there to make matters right. But like she understands that like while the Commonwealth is this structure within the walls, and you think that anybody they interact with is the Commonwealth, she also learns that may not be true. That they actually have connections and establishment and plans to make the whole system work. And that's what she's learning with Hornsby. So like in true Carol fashion, she seems very open, but we all know she's like very, very reserved, and she's still doing her own research for her own her own well-being and taking that information to apply for whenever she may need in the future. So we know how Carol is. So that's going on with that. But you know, with all of these different things, you know, Kelly and Connie, they're finding out that like there's some connections going on with this whole Tyler Davis thing. Then you have Eugene finding some common connections thing. So while these all seem like three different stories, there actually is a common denominator in this. There is a puppet master in all of this. And that's where things start to get really interesting because we're starting to understand the secrets of the Commonwealth. Like while everything seems so perfect, nothing's ever perfect, especially in the Walking Dead universe. So, you know, that's where we kind of go with this. But in this episode, we have a really cool scene by Mercer, like really, really cool scene. I thought it was shot I thought it was shot beautifully, and just what it was, I just was kind of jaw dropped. I was like, whoa, that was really cool. So you'll see what I'm talking about. And like I said, all the characters, you know, they learn some life lessons, and I think the viewers, some of these lessons that you'll learn, you can probably apply to your own life. So like, there's some good stuff going on in this episode. But I have to say, with Eugene, I can't wait to see where this character goes. Josh McDermott puts on a performance in this episode. Like Eugene, this whole idea of Eugene becoming unhinged. I mean, let's kind of unravel this a little bit. Like Eugene is very dedicated. He's very smart. He's very calculated. And then when you add love, and then you start to you remove that because that person is now missing, and now he's trying to figure it all out and putting the pieces together. And so now he's like, you know, from what he knows, what he's learned, what he's being told, and all these sorts of different things, and now he's trying to make do with all of this information he has, and like carve out a path to where does he go next. And it's really a lot for one person, but we truly see Eugene becoming unhinged, and to the point that like at the very end of this episode, even myself, I was like, I don't know what to believe and what to think. But now at the very end, I'm like, what? I'm confused, folks. My mind is all out of whack because I don't know what to think now. And I obviously can't talk about it, but wow, I cannot wait for you all to see it because I want to know your theories, because the end, I just don't know what to think here. Like there's like, you know, in the final part of the episode, just like a couple of things that happen that are kind of like, oh, wow. But then the very end, you're like, wait, what? So, like I said, we learned a lot of truths, even hard truths. And like I said, there may be a puppet master, a common denominator in all of this. And I think we're going to kind of see how this all plays out. So, yes, check out episode 11 of season 11, Rogue Element. Jump in the comments. Let me know all your theories, your predictions, and so on. And stay tuned each and every week for Walking Dead reviews. Thank you for watching, folks.